In this video, I'm going to explain how to eat more food and lose body fat. It's how my client Devin lost 35 pounds eating 1,300 more calories. How my client Phil lost 70 pounds eating 1,200 more calories. How my client Kevin lost 35 pounds eating 1,200 more calories. How my client Mason lost 10 pounds eating 800 more calories. How my client Jake lost 20 pounds eating 3,600 more calories. How my client Rick lost 15 pounds eating 600 more calories. How my client Mike lost 13 pounds eating 400 more calories. How my client Jacob lost 10 pounds eating 400 more calories. How my client Nathan lost 10 pounds eating 500 more calories in 1 month. And how my client Andres is eating 1,000 more calories per day, and he's made this transformation possible right here, down 15 pounds. Byron, 15 pounds, 1,200 more calories. Jake, 15 pounds down, 1,000 more calories. Ben, 10 pounds down in 2 weeks. Dan, down 22 pounds, 1,000 more calories. And then many of my other clients that I've worked with that have gone through great body recompositions, actually eating more food. And the results speak for themselves. The people that I work with, then my results speak for themselves. So if you guys don't know me by now, my name's Adam Bunnell. I'm an online fat loss coach. I help career-driven men break fat loss plateaus, lose body fat consistently, and get unstuck from fat loss plateaus using high-level forms of nutrition and metabolic priming. I use my metabolic priming blueprint with each and every one of my clients, and I've quite literally helped dozens of guys get to the leanest body fat percentage they've ever been, actually eating more food and utilizing your metabolism to our advantage. So in this video, I'm going to explain how it's possible, the science behind why it's possible, and to give you actual clarity on exactly what you need to be doing going forward with your nutrition to actually eat more food and lose more body fat. So if you're listening to this right now, you're probably under 2,000 calories, you've been doing tons of cardio, your caloric output is through the roof, and no matter what you do, how low you get your calories, you just can't seem to get rid of the lower body fat. And your digestion's probably off, your sleep is off, your energy is terrible, and you have immense brain fog. So this is going to be the video to change your life, and I specifically work with guys who are stuck in a fat loss plateau and wanting to get to the leanest body fat percentage they've ever been. So there will be 3 asset links listed in the video description. One is going to be my entire video on metabolic priming in grave detail. There's going to be tons of my client transformations, my client testimonials, and then there's also going to be an application for you to sign up and work with me. But the purpose of the video is to break down how it is possible. So to break down, first of all, how it is possible, we need to figure out what metabolic adaptation is. So metabolic adaptation is the term where your body is no longer producing enough of the metabolism to actually burn food. Downregulation of the metabolism happens according to adrenal fatigue, which means that you're inducing a bunch of inflammation, you're inducing a bunch of cortisol on your body, and your body no longer wants to burn calories at rest. So the truth about your metabolism in general, it is not a set number. Hormonal fluctuations with your metabolism will fluctuate day to day. And if you are in a high stress environment and your body's in a high stress mode in the form of a caloric deficit for an extended period of time, you will downregulate your metabolism, downregulate your BMR, which is your essential body functions like breathing, blood flow, thinking, organ function, etc. And your body will downregulate the actual burning calories at rest to just supplement your essential body functions. So if you're in this position and you are feeling digestion, fatigue, low energy, bloating that won't go away, that is a clear sign that your body is inducing a ton of cortisol. So why the body it's bad to have cortisol in the body is that, one, cortisol will prohibit you from losing body fat. More specifically, cortisol will prohibit you from gaining muscle tissue. So if you've been in a hypercaloric deficit for an extended period of time, you're now going through adrenal fatigue, which your body is so fatigued that it cannot recover, which means that now you have downregulated all your essential body functions and your metabolism to make sure that your body is getting correctly what it needs. Basically, you are in starvation mode, right? Your body is turning energy burning mode into energy storing mode. And what we need to do is hyperanalyze why it's happening and why the adrenal fatigue is happening. So the burning of body fat actually occurs in the nervous system. You have the mobilization of fat and the oxidization of fat. If your nervous system is downregulated and it is going through adrenal fatigue or high stress environment and is extremely inflamed, one, you probably have a gut that won't deflate, or you just can't seem to feel like you can recover. right? So this is an extreme response to the body's not getting enough nutrition and getting way too much caloric output, right? Your body has downregulated and now it's in energy storing mode, which means no matter how low you get your calories, you will not be able to lose the weight, right? So most people who try diets like keto, intermittent fasting, or any fad diets out there probably lost about 30 pounds in the past before, right? And maybe you have gained it back. So the problem with those diets in general is that, one, once you make the initial progress, there's no updating it, right? Once you make the initial progress, there's no updating. So you have probably made great progress in the past, and you've probably lost 30 pounds. But realistically, those 30 pounds are probably 15% water weight from the restriction of your carbohydrates, and then 15% of actual muscle tissue from the actual breakdown of muscle tissue through induced cortisol, which gets you caught in the skinny fat phase. And now you're stuck under 2,000 calories, and you try lowering your calories in even more, and nothing happens, right? This is the body's response from being in starvation mode and being high stress environment, and cortisol induced in the body will no longer let you lose body fat. So how do we specifically fix this? So this is what I specialize in primarily, which is metabolic priming, the influctuation of hormones and improvement of hormones to actually get you to lose body fat and get unstuck from fat loss plateaus. This is a higher level form of nutrition and metabolism manipulation that I have used with dozens and dozens of my clients to get them unstuck from fat loss plateaus and to keep making progress and get them to the leanest body fat percentage they've ever been. So metabolic priming is a manipulation of cellular metabolism, right? The manipulating of your metabolism to get your body to burn more food, right? So giving your body more food to reduce inflammation, to reduce adrenal fatigue, and so that your body can therefore burn more calories at rest. So you guys are probably wondering how it's possible that all of my clients are eating more food and losing weight. It's because we specifically manipulate their metabolism through precise nutrition, right? The reduction of oxidative stress, inflammation by repairing hormones through higher level nutrition strategies, focusing on our BMR. If your BMR is too low and you try to lower it even further, nothing will happen, right? So first before you lose any more body fat, you have to optimize your BMR, your essential body functions. So how do we do that specifically? So breaking down the metabolism, the basal metabolic rate, BMR, makes up 60% of your metabolism. Breathing, blood flow, sleep, organ function. 15% of your metabolism is the energy it takes to break down food, the actual energy your body uses to break down food, right? And then the 25% of active energy expenditure is your walking, working out, moving around. So if your 60% of your metabolism is fighting against you, and then 15% of your metabolism isn't getting supplied to actually give the body enough energy to break down the food, it doesn't matter how much active energy expenditure you do. It doesn't matter how much you work out. It doesn't matter how much cardio you do. You're just stuck and you're spinning your wheels, right? So the signs of a slow metabolism are weight loss plateau, depression, fatigue, can't concentrate, low energy, insulin resistance, which means that I'm guessing if you eat any more carbohydrates or you go out to eat with family, friends, or a loved one, you probably wake up 5 to 10 pounds heavier, right? I get it. I've tried all the diets in the past. I've tried every diet known to man, and I have been through the exact same process myself. And the thing is that if you have 80% of it figured out in the form of, calories in versus calories out, that 20% of the actual hormonal approach it takes to get lean as this and actually make a sustainable lifetime change to where you can stay leaner for longer happens hormonally within the body. It also happens with the education that it takes to actually sustain a body like this, right? Most people are stuck because they do not have the education. There has never been somebody that has been motivated and educated and stuck in a fat loss plateau, right? So more specifically, how do we actually fix this? And we have to break down what exactly your metabolism is made of. So specifically, your metabolism made of the actual nutrition that you give your body, right? So when you break down the metabolism in general, like muscle mass is correlated to protein. Everybody knows that. More protein means more muscle mass. So there's a couple different sides of the sword here when you break down the actual benefits of protein, right? Protein obviously builds muscle mass. Building of muscle mass actually increases metabolism. It takes 8 calories to sustain 1 pound of muscle tissue, but 2 calories to sustain 1 pound of body fat, right? So if you simply focus on muscle growth, you can keep the same body fat percentage, but appear leaner. That's how my clients like Mason are 1,300 more calories per day at the same weight, but absolutely shredded, right? Because muscle is also very glucose sparing, and it absorbs a lot of glucose, right? Which is carbohydrates. So with 4 calories per gram, protein gets broken down to amino acids, which are building blocks of the body, and it builds and it repairs bones, right? So protein also has a 30% thermic effect, right? So when you break down carbs, so carbs get a very bad rap in today's society. People think that carbs the devil, you don't need carbs, and that's simply just not true. And why? Let me explain why. Carbohydrates are a macromolecule that is good for essential body functions, right? Also, having a well-rounded diet will help with a well-rounded hormonal profile, right? So carbohydrates in specific, they affect 2 significant hormones in the body, leptin and ghrelin. So leptin, what leptin is the hormone in your body that tells you that you're satiated, right? So carbohydrates basically affect your leptin, which means affect how much you're actually satiated. Ghrelin is the hormone in the body that tells you that you're hungry, right? So how do we fix this, right? How specifically do we use carbohydrates to our advantage? Because carbohydrates are quite literally the preferred energy source of your brain. Glucose is the preferred energy source of your brain. So also, carbohydrates reduce inflammation. They reduce cortisol, right? We mentioned how we say that, the nervous system controls fat loss and that like adrenal fatigue can occur. Well, carbohydrates specifically are the macromolecule that helps best with the reduction of oxidative stress and the reduction of inflammation and the reduction of adrenal fatigue, right? So it supports essential body functions. Body's main fuel source gets broken down to glucose for energy and extra stored in the liver. So if you've been highly, restricting yourself for carbohydrates for a while and you just eat a little bit and you gain it all back, this should be an eye-opener for you. You don't need to cut more carbohydrates. You just need to know how many carbohydrates to eat, right? It's an essential part of a well-balanced diet. So, what makes more sense? Trying carbohydrates to actually specifically get more carbohydrates that you need, or trying the same keto diet you tried last year that got you stuck and you just plateaued right back out of it, right? And you gained all the way back. And how many times has this happened? Months? How many years, right? So the lack of education around how many carbohydrates you actually need to eat to support essential body functions and to support muscle growth in general is where a lot of people go wrong, because there's a synergistic effect of protein and carbs when you eat them simultaneously. Carbohydrates are the preferred shuttling mechanism of protein to a specific muscle group, right? So the breaking down of muscle tissue helps with carbohydrates getting shuttled with protein into that muscle to reduce stress, reduce cortisol, to reduce the actual breakdown of the muscle and improve muscle mass, which improves metabolism. So let's break down fat and why fat is important in your diet, right? So fat has 9 calories per gram. So it's relatively one of the slower digesting macronutrients with a 3% thermic effect. It takes very long for fat to get broken down. But more specifically, fat is actually what dials in your hormones, right? T3, T4, metabolism, thyroid, testosterone, which is bad in men if we don't have the correct fat intake, right? Also, since it's the higher caloric macromolecule, it takes longer to digest, right? Which means that a high-fat diet can stop you up. But you need the correct fat intake to regulate hormone levels and to regulate, digestion as well. Because if you eat not enough fats, you can also downregulate your hormone levels, which is detrimental. So plugging all 3 of these in and making sure that we dial those in with my clients on their start date is where we get the absolutely nuts transformations within the first week, right? You've seen some of the clients who drop 10 pounds in a month, 20 pounds in, 7 weeks. This is the reason why my clients are making that progress, because we dial in those macronutrients. We give them macronutrients and a hormonal priming and body recomposition approach with the correct macronutrients, right? So what else do we implement into my clients' programs that make them see the progress that they're seeing right now? Make them see the insane progress that they're seeing right now. So another thing we do is we set daily goals, right? We set daily goals for my clients, like drinking a gallon of water, like sleeping 8 hours, taking men's multivitamin, or walking 10K steps or 8 to 10K steps. So why are these important with metabolism? So metabolism is how your body burns food, right? So optimizing digestion right off the bat will help with a higher metabolism. So mitigating fat intake or using water as a supplement for digestion, because what water is lubricant for the intestinal organs, or walking 10K steps. So why is walking 10K steps important? So quite literally, walking in general is the factor that actually, oxidizes fat, right? So we have mobilization, oxidization of fat. Walking oxidizes fat at a higher level than even working out. And quite typically, working out doesn't really burn much calories. Burn like 200 to 300 calories. But walking as a low-intensity cardio regimen, which is non-inflammatory on the body, but also improves digestion, will help with the oxidization of body fat and burning more calories in the form of actual nutrients that you need to burn to get leaner, right? So adding those 10K steps for digestion and oxidation of fat as well. Then macro, like the men's multivitamin that all my clients get, gives you certain micronutrients that food groups don't get you. So when you break down calories, macronutrients, and micronutrients, calories affect your weight. Macronutrients affect how you look, and micronutrients affect how you feel. So if you haven't been tracking food, you've just been eating healthy, right? A lot of people when I ask, like, well, what's your calories? Well, I don't know, right? Well, I've just been intermittent fasting. Well, it quite literally doesn't matter if you intermittent fast or not. What matters is the actual caloric intake that you have. That will affect your weight. You could eat 4,000 calories through the day or 4,000 calories in one sitting, and it quite literally wouldn't matter. The problem with intermittent fasting and why people think that it's the goal in the gold mine to their success with their body fat loss is they starve themselves for the entire day, and they eat once a day, which stops up their digestion, which decreases their metabolism. And, quite literally, they just overeat on calories anyways because they just starve themselves and they gorge all at once. I will say, if you have done nothing ever and you're extremely obese, intermittent fasting could help with reduction of calories that you intake per day. But typically, why people get stuck is because they're not tracking calories. If you're tracking calories and you're stuck, you quite literally need to track macronutrients, right? Which is protein, carbs, and fats. And we explained why each macronutrient is extremely important. And then micronutrients is how you feel, cognitive, brain health, organ, like basically how you feel and how you think, like mental clarity. So, within my clients' plans, we put all these specifically in there to optimize digestion, to increase metabolism, and to increase nutrient absorption, right? And then the last thing we do with all my clients is we pair them with an actual structured training program, right? A program that I've built based upon exercise science. I specialize in exercise science and nutrition, right? I've taken many courses on exercise science, and I build my clients' programs based upon what they want to build in the gym, right? And we hyper-focus on what that is. And we use 6-week meso splits to split up their training splits so we can hyper-focus on a certain muscle group and grow it faster. Because we mentioned earlier how having higher muscle tissue amount leads to having higher metabolism. So muscle tissue is one of the most important components of a male anatomy. It increases muscle tissue, increase in muscle tissue, increases testosterone, increases good hormones, and it allows you to eat more food and absorb more glucose, right? So if you guys are starving yourselves and losing muscle tissue and you're getting stuck, you're quite literally putting yourself in an inevitable corner to downregulate all your hormones and downregulate your testosterone. So we need to have a correct approach to this to conserve muscle tissue, to build muscle tissue, and to also utilize our hormones to our advantage, right? And so pairing all these together with daily goals, with a actual structured macronutrient profile specific to what my clients need based upon their job, how active they are, what they do for a living, how old they are, how tall they are, how much they weigh, is why we see these absolutely incredible transformations, eating more food and losing more calories. Because there's a synergistic effect in the human body when everything just gets dialed in a little bit better, right? When everything gets dialed in the form of nutrition, in the form of calorie burning, fat oxidation, fat mobilization, muscle building, daily goals that help you with the mitigation of hormone levels. And that's quite literally how all my clients are getting absolutely freaking shredded eating more food, right? And it's not a secret. Like, my client transformations, they quite literally speak for themselves. What we do works because it is a system, right? And so to break down this system in a little bit more depth and why it is important is that most people who come to me, right, people who their BMR is super shot, they're eating 2,000 calories, they're starving themselves, they're in skinny fat phase, they look like crap, they feel like crap, they're highly stressed because they're not getting enough food, and their quality of life is just terrible, right? So they might be doing 2,000 calories, and their caloric expenditure, maybe not in cardio, but maybe in like their active daily work, or however much cardio they're outputting per day is equal to like 30 minutes of cardio, or whatever it may be, right? So imagine trying to do this. Imagine trying to, do 30 minutes of cardio while your BMR is crashed and you're eating 2,000 calories, and you try to lower that, right? And you try to raise that. What's your body going to do? You think it's going to respond great? You think you're going to feel better? Absolutely freaking not, right? So what I do with my clients in specifically is we optimize their BMR first, right? So we optimize their BMR by starting them at 2,000 calories or wherever they are, calorie-wise, but giving them structured macronutrients around those calories, giving them protein, carbs, and fats to fit the calories that they're already eating. This already gives them a very, very clean body recomposition, because now you're just getting you're going to eat the same calories, right? So, you're not gaining any weight, but now you have the correct macronutrients in the form of protein, carbs, fats to optimize hormone levels, increase digestion, and improve metabolism. So you start them at 2,000 calories, but we cut cardio to a minimum, right? To reduce oxidative stress, to reduce adrenal fatigue on the body, and we start raising these calories, right? And our goal is to get the BMR up to here, right? So over time, my clients are eating more food, losing more weight, eating more food, losing more weight, eating more food, and then at a certain point, we get capped, right? At a certain point, we can't gain any more calories because we start adding extra body fat, and I can usually tell specifically in certain clients, because I learn their bodies over time, when we're kind of at that ceiling amount. So when we hit that ceiling amount, let's say it's 3,400 calories, what we do next is we start doing a little cardio, right? And now we start lowering the calories back down while our BMR is optimized, right? And so instead of starting at 2,000 calories, going to 8, 19, 18, we optimize the BMR, lower the cardio to get your body to adjust and adapt to eating more food and doing less cardio. Now we have more leverage to work with in the form of calories, cardio, and steps, right? So then now we're at 3,400 calories, and we can start lowering them a little bit, start raising cardio each week to, make sure that they're losing the correct amount of body fat. Because in today's society, there's a problem between weight loss and fat loss, right? Weight loss is bad. You don't want to lose muscle tissue because we explained why muscle tissue is important in the male anatomy. You're specifically wanting to lose body fat, right? Nobody just wants to lose weight. People want to lose body fat, right? They don't care how much they weigh. They just want to look better. So the problem is fat loss. So if you're trying to lose 30, 40 pounds and 20 of it is muscle tissue, and now your metabolism is lowering because you have less muscle tissue, your testosterone is lowering because you have less muscle tissue, now you're putting yourself in an inevitable corner to just feel worse, right? So you have a fat loss problem, right? Which means that one, good fat loss occurs at 0.5 to 1.5 pounds per week, right? So the people that, get very stuck or do the massive upfront deficits and cut all their calories and cut all their carbohydrates, they probably lose 30 pounds, 15 being water, 5 being fat or whatever it may be. And then it starts to slow down, right? Because you lost the initial water weight, and now the fat loss and muscle loss is, relatively pretty slow, right? So you've already preconditioned yourself and positively reinforced yourself to 15, 10, 20 pounds within the month, and now you get frustrated that you can't lose any more weight, when in reality, you just lost water weight, a ton of muscle, and now the progression's a little bit slower. As opposed to taking it slower, staying within 0.5 to 1.5 pounds per week, making sure we savor muscle tissue, because muscle tissue is good. Muscle tissue is highly glucose absorbent. Muscle tissue increases metabolism, increases testosterone. We can slowly lower it week by week, decreasing actual body fat, but maintaining muscle grown, right? And that's how you eat more food and be able to stay leaner for longer, right? So you guys have probably seen all the guys on social media who eat like 3,000 calories, but they're all like super shredded. And even me, like I eat like 3,000 calories and I'm pretty dang lean, usually year round. And the reason is because this process is predictable. This is exactly what they're doing. They're optimizing their BMR. They're focusing on muscle tissue. And when they lean out with body fat, then they're left with good muscle tissue that's highly glucose absorbent and keeps their calories high and keeps them comfortable, right? You guys try to cut everything too quickly and you try to, move your progress forward, and that's why you get stuck. And I completely get it. Like, look where I started. I've been there. I've been there. I've been here. I've been skinny fat. I've been skinny. I've rebounded and got fat. I've tried to get super lean, and it didn't last long because this is what happened next month. And then I finally figured out exactly what I need. And you know what it was? I invested in myself. That's all it was. I invested myself in a actual mentorship and online courses and programs on hormonology, on nutrition, and I've spent thousands of dollars on that, and that's how I've got here, right? The lack of education was keeping me stuck too. And at face value, you can go online, you can look at all the research in the world, and it will get you 80% of the way. And if you're extremely overweight, you could probably go online and lose the first 20 pounds. But you will not lose the next 20 pounds of body fat, losing it the same way you lost the first 20, because now your body's adapted, your body's adjusted. You need a little bit more oomph to your fat loss journey, right? And so what's keeping you stuck is one, the inability to allocate resources in the form of money to the correct places. Most of you would rather one, spend money on vices, on going out on the weekends, on saving up for a new car, new roof, whatever it may be, than putting money in the right places, right? Because the truth is that you can figure this out two separate ways. Like education can get solved in two separate ways. By time, me spending 5 years figuring it out, and then me actually purchasing in the form of actual money and an investment myself. And I made that progress in 5 months, and I've made sustainable progress since then. And if I would have learned about this, and I wish I would have took my advice back here, because I would have had 3 more years under my belt of actual muscle growth, being able to stay leaner for longer, and actual knowledge around this, right? And that's what's going to keep most of you stuck still. So some of you are going to watch this right today, and then you're going to go back doing the same thing you were doing before, thinking you don't need any help. And I get it. And I was there too. But the truth is that that 20% will keep you stuck, right? I've been there, right? I've been in the position where I had all it figured out. I ate healthy, highly motivated, work ethic, discipline, followed a plan, believes in himself, I'm hardworking, financially stable. But the cons were I tried new diets every month, stuck in a plateau, scared of carbohydrates, was lost and confused, don't know how to track macros, hates the way I looked, had terrible confidence in myself, bad relationship with food. I struggled with binge eating, overeating. I struggled with starving myself. I've struggled with all these types of things, and it's just because I didn't have the actual education. You don't need to do all the extra stuff. All you need to do is figure out the right stuff to do. And that all that is putting your money in the right places to figure out the right way to do it, so you can have that information for the rest of your life, and so you can stop spinning your wheels wondering why you're stuck. And how good would it feel if you had the information, you knew exactly what you need to eat today to sustain a lean physique? And if you wanted to build muscle, you could. If you had the information you want to get leaner, you could. Actually having control over how you look is one of the most powerful things in today's world, and there's no amount of money that would ever make me go back to the way I felt before. And I'm on this side of the table, and I'm trying to recruit most of the guys, all you guys on the other side of the table, because I know where you're at, and that big gap of uncertainness is what's keeping you stuck. But I can tell you right now, the grass is damn greener on the other side. So with that being said, if you are struggling to get lean, you're under 2,000 calories, and you're just trying to starve yourself and get lean, and you're just stuck, you're just feeling signs of bloating, indigestion, poor energy, poor sleep, poor brain fog, I get it. Sign up for a time. Let's talk. Let's see where you're at. Let's see where you're looking to get. I'll break down where it's, keeping you stuck. And if I'm 1,000% sure that it's something that I can help, I'll build you out some higher level strategy and show you what it look like to partner up. Don't wait on this. Don't keep kicking the can down the road. If this is something you need, let's make the change. Let's change your life today. So if that sounds like you, the link will be below, and I'll see you on the call.